Let's break down exactly where this money is going. First bucket. $100 million set aside to crank up production of 5.56 NATO and 7.62 NATO. Now yeah, those numbers scream military, but let's be honest, these two calibers are the lifeblood of the American rifle world. 5.56 runs our AR-15 carbines. 7.62 NATO drives our AR-10 and M14 style rifles. And here's the key detail. Most people miss Lake City Army Ammunition Plant doesn't just feed Uncle Sam. Historically, almost half of their small arms production ends up on the civilian market. So when Washington throws money at those lines, it doesn't just stockpile for the Pentagon, it puts more brass on the shelves for us. Second, the heavy hitter. $1 billion tagged for what they're calling next-generation production facilities. Now don't picture a couple of new machines in a dusty shop. Think about walking out of a 1960s muscle car garage and then stepping straight into a Tesla gigafactory. That's the scale of change we're talking about. Automated inspection systems that scan every single cartridge for defects. No more random duds killing your training day. Advanced annealing systems that control case neck tension down to the micron, meaning your brass crimps consistent, your bullet holds true, and your groups stay tight on target. This isn't patchwork. This is a full modernization of how America builds ammunition. Third lane. $2 billion in raw materials. And I'll tell you right now, that's probably the most important line item in the whole deal. Because when we lived through the 2020 shortage, it wasn't just ammo flying off shelves. It was the components, the primers, the brass, and the powders that dried up first. That shortage was a straight-up global primer crisis. And a scary amount of that supply was coming from overseas Russia, Eastern Europe, places you don't want to depend on when things go sideways. This investment is a strategic ammo pantry for the United States, onshoring the holy trinity of cartridge-making primers, brass, and powder, so we're never again stuck begging foreign supply chains to keep our ranges alive. Last piece. $10 million carved out for workforce expansion. And yeah, compared to billion-dollar line items, it looks like pocket change. But don't brush it off, because you can't run a modern ammo gigafactory with untrained hands. This money builds the next generation of specialists, ballisticians, metallurgists, tool makers, and process engineers. The folks who know how to tune machines that cut tolerances thinner than a human hair and keep those lines humming without fail. It's not flashy, but without the right people, billion-dollar machines just sit cold. All right. So we've got billions of dollars on the table, brand new machines, and a stockpile system that finally puts ammo security back on American soil. But let's cut through the noise. What does all that actually mean for us, the shooters, when we walk into the shop looking for a box of ammo? Here's the answer. It means the roller coaster finally stops. You know exactly the cycle I'm talking about. 1 week you're grabbing 9mm at 20 cents a round. Next week, you're staring at empty shelves, or worse, you're shelling out 50 cents a round for sketchy remanufactured junk. This new wave of investment is built to flatten those spikes. It's designed so your hometown mom and pop store doesn't have to beg their distributor just to score a single case of green tip. It means you don't feel like you've got to refinance your house just to keep your magazines topped off. And here's the real payoff. A steady supply kills panic buying. When shooters trust that ammo will be there tomorrow, and the week after that, they stop hoarding. That stability keeps shelves full, stops the feeding frenzy, and locks the market back into balance. And when the market's stable, that's when the good stuff happens. That's when you can finally afford to sign up for that 500-round carbine course you've been putting off. That's when you can take the whole family out for an afternoon of plinking without burning through $100 in an hour. It's a chain reaction. More ammo on the shelf means more trigger time. More trigger time builds more skill. More skill makes the entire gun community sharper, safer, and better prepared. So bottom line, this bill is a win. More machines, more raw material, more skilled workers. All of it comes together as more boxes on the shelf and fewer gut punch price spikes. And let's be real, the fact this all rolled out right before Independence Day. That timing was no accident. Because for us, ammunition isn't just brass, lead, and powder. It's freedom in a box. It's the ability to train, to defend our families, and to stay sharp without asking permission. And with nearly half the output from these government-affiliated plants making its way into the civilian market, it's clear this isn't just about stocking Uncle Sam's armories. It's about keeping our American gun culture alive and thriving. On paper, it might look like another line item buried in a defense budget. But for gun owners, it's a long overdue investment in stability, security, and our Second Amendment way of life. That's my breakdown. Make sure you like, subscribe, and drop a comment with your take. And as always, stay sharp. All right, let's hit something that most folks didn't even catch. Every now and then, Congress pushes through a bill. The news gives it 30 seconds, then moves on. But if you live inside the shooting world, if you buy ammo by the case, if you train on weekends, if you stockpile brass and powder, this one is different. Right before Independence Day fireworks lit up the sky, one of the biggest defense spending packages in over 10 years got signed into law. And buried inside that stack of pages was a detail the mainstream didn't bother to mention. A detail that's going to shape every gun shop shelf and every online ammo order for years to come. I'm talking about billions of dollars pumped straight into American ammunition production. And whether you shoot once a month or once a week, this is going to land right in your lap. But before we talk about the fix, let's rewind. Think back to 2020. You remember, a 1,000-round case of 5.56 that used to cost $400 suddenly. It was pushing past 1,000. And that was if you could even find it. 9mm? Gone. 45 ACP? Gone. 308, 300 Blackout, 22 LR, same story. Gun store shelves looked like they'd been stripped bare by locusts. And the worst part wasn't just the price tags. It was brand new gun owners, millions of them, who couldn't find the ammo they needed to train. Some folks had a fresh rifle for home defense, but only the 20 rounds that came in the box. That's not training ammo. That's not defensive readiness. That's a bad spot to be in. What that panic taught us was simple. Our ammo supply chain is fragile. One disruption, a pandemic, a political fight, or even a surge in new shooters can grind it to a halt. Now here's the piece most people miss. The military and civilian ammo markets have always been tied together. Go back to the post-Vietnam years. When the military downsized, those giant government ammo plants had two choices: sell to civilians or go cold. And a cold start at an ammunition facility is a national security nightmare. You lose the workers. You lose the skill. You can't just flip a switch and bring it back. It takes years to rebuild that kind of workforce and recalibrate machines that stamp out millions of rounds. So civilian sales became the lifeline. Hunters, competitors, everyday shooters, we kept those production lines alive. Our demand kept the gears spinning so that when the country needed a surge, the factories were already hot. And that's what this new bill is really about. It's not some radical idea, it's a heavy reinvestment in a system we've been carrying all along. This legislation is Washington's answer to the 2020 ammo shortage. It's built to kill that feast or famine cycle and to keep American production steady, even when the world gets messy.